Hello, welcome back to the Fangirl Fantasy Podcast. I am Julie Russell, and today's guest will probably have a lot of arguments today because we don't agree on anything at all. Like polar opposites on every spectrum of everything. She is a VIP assistant at Live Nation. Please welcome Jazz Bryant.
Hi,
How are
I'm
you?
so glad to be here. How are you? I'm great.
You're in a good mood so far, so that's a good sign for me.
I am. I'm always in a good mood. I'm just chilling, just living life,
So
living the
you
dream,
Yeah,
as
we're
I
all living the
say,
dream right now, right?
always.
So you're a VIP assistant at Live Nation
Yes.
in Albany, New York.
Yes.
The lovely Albany.
The lovely Albany, capital of New York.
So what does that job consist of? What is your day to day?
Day to day, so let's say I'm going to transport to, if we had a summer season this summer, I would usually get there to the venue around 10 for load-in. I would go to the back offices. I would type up and print up a day of shows sheet for everyone. We would distribute it amongst a lot of the managers who are there, whoever's coming, the crew. We have a lot of venue staff as well, so they get all the day of show sheets as well. We go over sound check, we go over logistics. I have like a whole checklist honestly on my desk because I'm very much a visual person. So I need to see like everything laid out in front of me, make sure catering's going well, make sure guest list is doing well, make sure radio has, their tickets and whatever they're doing, and making sure VIP is all set up. I would usually head to VIP around like uh depending on the day, I would say around like 2 maybe, depending if we're
For a seven
having
for like a 7 p.m. show.
yeah, it depends if we're having like basically like the VIP tiers. So we had like a sound check, and we had like a little backstage action. Sometimes we'll have different VIP setups in like a different tent on the opposite side of the venue. It's kind of like a little pre-show hangout. The artists will come and do like a little set for them. So depending on the nature of the VIP that day, would probably it usually that would kind of like dictate when I would go in, when I would be backstage running around, get all that together, make sure VIP check-in is doing well. I would usually kind of grab my guests around 5:36, and then we do the meet and greets. We send one group to, depending on, because we have a lot of tiered VIP, like
Yep.
VIPs how they work,
Meet and
meet and greet
greet,
and
sound
everything.
check,
Yeah,
Q&A, poster,
basically,
anything like that.
yeah. So depending on who it is, sometimes it'll just be me if it's just like a regular meet and greet. If it's a more tiered, VIP packages, it'll be me and two other people, and we basically kind of like switch off and consolidate like who's going where, who's taking care of which group and which not. I'm usually the meet and greet person, just 'cause, like that's, I guess, where I thrive more.
Your expertise.
Yes, my expertise of meet and greet. So that's kind of like my area, and make sure that that group's okay. And once that they're handled, then I go and help everyone else.
Gotcha. How do you see your job changing because of COVID? Like next year, concert season hopefully happens. Fingers crossed. It's safe to do so in the summer of 2021, you say. How do you see your job changing?
I honestly, nothing is set in stone. So whoever's watching this, don't freak out or anything.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
But
this is all just hypothetical, but like right now, like
yeah,
you obviously see things are not going to be the same.
I honestly don't even see meet and greets happening anymore.
Me either.
Just because like there's always that, like I know we're have like a vaccine rollout, but there's always that risk. And there's artists that can't afford the risk. There's so many artists that are immunocompromised,
Hmm.
so they can't afford the risk of someone didn't get vaccinated, or someone was just exposed 24 hours ago before they came to the show. So like I said, it's not set in stone. There's not any secret Live Nation
Yeah, yeah.
tidbits I'm dropping, but I don't see how meet and greets can go forward, at least for next year. Maybe 2022 will be a lot better, but I don't see how they're going to be, going forward. But I do see a lot of artists and tours and VIP Nation. I can see them doing more of kind of the expanded, like lower tiered
Yeah, the sound
VIP.
checks and
Yeah,
the
sound
Q
checks,
and
little
A's.
Q&As, things like that. I mean, they could maybe, it would be a lot of like protocols that they'd have to go through in order to like, still have meet and greets. But personally, I don't see that happening. I do see like more like scaled down and like socially distanced.
Unless you're willing to take a photo, like a meet and greet, like Avril Lavigne for every meet and
Yeah, like
greet.
opposite sides of like the
Yeah,
wall.
the backdrop.
People like fans love the experience and like they love the thought of feeling special when they go into meet and greets, and like having that separated thing is just not a good. I don't think it's gonna would go.
I wouldn't go to a meet and greet if that was the situation, but I also don't think I would go to a meet and greet unless it's 110% safe.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. It's been a lot of like back and forth about how shows can go on safe next year, and I do think that Live Nation, they're very smart people. There's a lot of ways for them to have back up the scale shows next year, but there's still going to be like it's going to be a different feel and different environment.
Definitely. Is there a show last season that you worked that's like your favorite show ever? Has there been a show that you like kind of like pinch me, this is awesome?
Cardi B.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that. Where was that? Like
it
at
was
a certain
at
venue?
our venue SPAC. Cardi B and City Girls, Tiana Taylor, they did this woman benefit gala with Atlantic Records, and it was like a little like female empowerment girl power movement. And the show was just so high energy. It was so fun. And as you know me, I love Cardi B.
Yes.
Like that is my girl. She is loud, and
she's loud like you. Like when she's in the room, when you're in the room, people know.
Oh, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Did she have a VIP or anything like that? Did she have a meet and greet sound check? No. Does she do that?
I think she does. Like she hasn't really gone on like a full out tour. So I think they're, I don't know, going forward, with COVID and everything, but I think she probably would have, but we didn't have one.
Yes, I agree.
But it was very high energy. I think she's hilarious, and she works so well because she's so confident in what she's doing. She doesn't second guess a single thing or a single decision. So she's dope.
Yeah, no, I love her energy. She doesn't fake it. Yes. So we know each other because of a band.
Yeah.
The Jonas Brothers. I'm honestly going to say, I think we only met this year or last year.
We really did. Like, I always knew you because our entire friend group
is the same.
Are the same people.
Yes.
So, like, I knew you, like, from them, especially, like, from Heather and Andrew.
Agreed. And I think Twitter, we were Twitter mutuals and all of that. I think the first time, when was the first time we met?
What? Yeah. I'm like thinking back on it. Like the first time we met was MSG.
I don't really, because you posted me on your Instagram story, and I'm like, we had to have hung up. Like I was trying to think back.
I don't know.
Did you go to Mohegan?
Yes.
Okay, so it was Mohegan.
But we didn't talk that much at Mohegan.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, because I feel like we talk a lot now and we're friends, and I'm just like, I don't even know.
But no, not at Mohegan, because I remember, because you came with Heather, and I didn't see Heather until I was leaving the meet and greet line, and you and her were suddenly there. And that's the only time we talked that day until like after the show when we were running around the casino.
So maybe we just instantly clicked. Wherever we met.
I tell you, like, I love you and I love your personality and I love how you're so like, you're very much a goal-getter.
Oh,
and I respect that about you and respect that about other people. So I think we mesh really well.
Definitely. And obviously both working in entertainment and music. Yeah. I think that's kind of just pulls us together.
Exactly. So you both know like how it is.
Definitely. So
unfortunately, you're a Nick girl, but
well, I was gonna say, leading into how we don't agree on things. You full-fledged Joe Jonas till the day you die. I am Nick Jonas till the day I die. I don't understand how you see Joe as the leader of the front man of the Jonas Brothers.
He is the leader of the front man. He is the life. He is the energy. He is the soul. But I do like Nick. People think I don't like Nick. I was a Nick girl. People don't know this. When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, he was always my favorite because I thought he was really cute and shy.
Because he is. He's not shy.
Yeah, but then I hit puberty and I grew up, and that's when literally as soon as like I turned like 9th grade, like 14, I became a Joe girl, and that's where I've been since.
Okay, whatever. I'll get over it.
No,
Is
you won't, but it's fine.
No, definitely not. Is there a favorite show that you've gone to of the Jonas Brothers, like Solo, DNCE, Jonas
Um,
Brothers?
I don't know if I can go to like the whole history. The NCE, DNCE did a
The only
EP
one that
release
matters.
show. I like the other members. They're very sweet. They did an EP release show in Brooklyn at Knitting Factory. And I told you that Knitting Factory is my favorite venue.
You did.
It's 200 cap. It's
Three,
so tiny.
350.
350, around that range. Sorry.
I know my ticket sales.
You do. I respect that about you. But it's such a small venue,
Mhm.
but that makes it so intimate and so much fun.
Especially
They're,
seeing a band like DNCE.
yeah, because they're like hanging off the ceiling and everything.
Yes.
So that was probably my favorite show of theirs. Nick, I do have a favorite show of his because I support my boy Nick Jonas.
Yes.
Solo, he did a 21 and up show for last year's Complicated.
Yes.
And I snuck in underage, and it was a lot of fun. My favorite show, he was handing out wine. It was great. It's great energy. He was very excited to be there. Label was there. It was so great.
Good vibes all around. Vibes are
Also,
immaculate.
it was honestly like one of his best shows, like solo, I think. And then Jonas Brothers, MSG, I think.
Yeah,
That
same.
MSG, it's always MSG for me.
Just all of we keep saying it, all of our friends were just in the pit. You looked around and it was every single person we knew.
Every person that we have ran around with, like
yes,
past like what 10 years maybe.
Yeah, it was every single person. And the thing is, we all deserve to be there. We all bought our tickets, and we're normally it's like, oh, you shouldn't be here, but we all bought our tickets because we all wanted to be together for MSG.
Yeah, MSG scares me. There's some people that can work their way into places at MSG.
No,
MSG terrifies me. I can't.
Yeah, it's the big leagues.
Yeah, I did a show there, and like even like working the show there, it was insane. So I knew my place.
Buy a ticket.
But MSG definitely is my favorite show.
I agree. Yeah, that was so much fun. And then we had a slumber party after in the hotel room because you missed your bus.
Yeah, that was just a day in the life.
I remember think I fell asleep or I woke up and I'm like, why is Jazz here?
I was really planning on going back home because I had to go to work. We had a show on Saturday. It was a Friday. And I had to be in Albany at my venue at 9 a.m. But guess where I was at? New York City. That was a day. It was a day in the life of ours.
The Jonas Brothers had a big impact on you. Would you say they're the reason that you're pursuing the career that you're in, or is there another influence?
I think it's definitely that. But it's also the fact that I didn't really know music was a career because Albany, I know it's like the capital city of New York, but it's very small. It's a very small city. Everyone knows everyone. There's about 2 jobs in Albany. It's either, you work in the service industry or you work in with the government. And that's kind of how I was raised. My mom, she works in insurance. My grandmother went to law school. There was never a talk of music industry. But I was always I don't want to brag, but a big presence on Twitter and Stan Twitter.
Okay.
So I've always enjoyed music. I've always loved the life of being a fan or whatever, but I never knew that music was really an option. But I was in college and this is a shout out to your boy Nick Jonas, so he kind of has to thank for this. I got an email from Island Records for a focus group, randomly just because I was on the email list or whatever. So I went, not really expecting much, and then we were there talking about the music and listening to his album, and I realized how much I enjoy music and how much maybe I can make this into a career. It seemed like something that I was good at, something that kind of came naturally to me. Even just talking to my friend about different songs coming out, it is kind of something that something my brain kind of clicked in that moment. And so at that point, I was actually pursuing digital marketing and marketing and everything. but I segued into live music probably like my senior year of college with one of my professors. And then afterwards, I started working with CID Entertainment. And then
Which
because
is what?
it's basically like just a VIP company.
Okay.
So it's kind of like VIP Nation, but scaled down. But I started working with them right out of college. And then my first big show with them was Panorama for like the 3 days.
Okay.
And that's when like I really fell in love with live music and wanted, this to be my career and where I bloom and foster in.
And that's it ever since is Nick
That's
Jonas
that, like
Island Records.
it's because of Island Records. It's so crazy. So this
I,
is kind of where I've just been at. It's just been at this moment, kind of like fine tuning what I'm good at, what I know I can achieve, and kind of like where I want to go from this moment.
with your digital marketing. So do you have a degree in digital marketing though?
I do. It's communications and digital marketing.
Okay, because you
Digital
can
media.
still obviously use that to like
Yeah.
even because of course right now live music it's not happening. So like that's still even a huge part of obviously the music
Yeah.
industry.
Would
Would you ever kind of go that way, right? Like that route, or you're over it?
I think if given the right opportunity, but I think one of like the biggest mistakes I made right out of college was applying for every single job that I saw.
Of course, we all did that.
Yeah, it's like I wasn't really focusing like what I enjoyed and what I was good at, and where I really saw like a full length career for myself. Like I like digital marketing, and I have so many friends that work in digital marketing. I think what they do is amazing. But what I've grown to be more passionate about is actual touring.
Definitely.
And the whole behind the scenes of it, if booking a show, procuring the contracts and everything, the opening acts, the marketing that comes along with that, promotions. So that's kind of like, where my heart has always been in for the past few years. But if given the right opportunity, yeah.
What would be the right opportunity?
I don't know.
If it just fell in your lap and it came to
Yeah,
you
if it's on
and
my
you would
lap, but
just
it's not
know.
really something that like I'm pursuing.
Definitely. No, absolutely. And I mean, even just like the Stan Twitter and all of that we're talking about, that is digital marketing.
It really is. Being able to like, I'm trying to find a way to like put this without sounding like I'm bragging or I think I'm like
no,
that
this
girl.
podcast is to talk about the things that you've accomplished because you're a fangirl. So go.
But I think it's also, being able to kind of frame what you're saying and also make an impact on a large group of people is such a huge point of digital marketing. Like I see a lot of, I don't want to shade anyone, but I do see like a lot of, I
just do it. Go.
It's not me being shady. It's just something that like I notice because when you work in the industry, you always notice like these small little quirks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I would see a lot of verified accounts and big social media accounts and different not fan accounts, artist
accounts.
Yeah, and you can kind of like see like a certain amount of followers, and you can see their engagement. Yes. So you can see they're not really making
an impact.
They're not really making an impact. They're not really connecting with their audience.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's one thing to kind of have one specific brand and keep growing on that, but instead a lot of artist accounts, they're kind of like twist and turn to like so many things at once, so there's not a clear
focus on what they're trying to go after.
They're trying to say.
Is there an artist on the top of your head that you're talking about right now?
A couple.
Just no, I would love to know because I would love to like check it out. Who is it?
I don't want to say really artists, but this different like social media accounts.
Are you not saying it because we know the people that run their accounts?
No.
Like, just like give me just
like something that I would notice. Like if I'm scrolling through Instagram randomly, and then
their
like
comments are like not there, but they have 3 million followers.
Exactly.
Okay. Yes.
And you can kind of tell like where it's authentic and where it's not.
Yes.
I feel like me just having a Stan account, I've been able to kind of like connect with people from like all over the country in like an authentic way, without even really meaning to.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about Stan Twitter and fangirls in general is the community that it builds.
Yes.
And it just happens naturally. And it's just like, oh, I see that you have the last name Jonas in your Stan account. Like I like the Jonas Brothers or anything like that. Or you see that someone else retweeted a cool fan art that someone made and then you're like, oh, this is
Yes.
what they do. So things like that. I think, yeah, that's a great thing about Stan Twitter is the community and that
It is.
it's
There's
or
been so many people that's gotten like great opportunities just because they were
on
on
Twitter.
Stan Twitter.
Yes.
Artists like they notice that and they notice like what people are doing. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I think social media has just kind of taken it's just like a whole it's a resume. Social
It
media is
is.
a resume. Like if someone sees just the right person retweeted your art onto or the graphic design or anything, it's your photo that you took. So, yeah, I think social media is used in every like especially I think Twitter is so underrated. Um
Twitter is terrible and the best all at the same time.
Definitely, but I think just because of the Twitter that you're in, like I don't like my Twitter's fine because no one comes at me. Where like no one's ever bullied me.
I don't give.
But if you tweet something, people say like that they don't agree with, they'll come at you,
They do, and
and it's strangers, and like no strangers ever do that to me.
it's always strangers. But I honestly, it's because I'm older now. I'm a lot less. I don't get offended as easily now
Oh
because
no,
I'm older. So honestly, now that I'm at this age and I have years of wisdom, I welcome the constructive criticism. Like I'm open to going back and forth with anyone about any topic. One because I don't like being wrong, so I have to prove my point. But
always.
yeah, always. But also, like, there's just so much to learn.
Yes,
Like
I think
this is
this
separate from
industry
Stan
is
Twitter.
always changing, and you're
Yeah,
never gonna know everything.
you never are. Like this is separate from Stan Twitter, but like over the past few months, there's been like this whole like this I don't want to say social like civil unrest, but there's been like a lot more attention geared towards social issues
Of
and
course.
civic unrest and things that are happening in our communities and different communities. And so much of the stuff that even I have learned because I think of myself as like the grandeur of all that is all that is to know.
Of
But I'm
course.
learning so much, and I'm learning this. There's so many things that I still need to unlearn as I'm getting
Hmm.
older
Yeah,
all
educate
because of
yourself.
Twitter. So I think that it's a great tool in that form. Like there's so much information, there's so much you can learn, but also on the bad side, there's a lot of disinformation
Yes,
and things that
yes.
get blown out of proportion and different. It's just a lot of information all at once, and I don't think humans are equipped to kind of have that much of an intake 24/7.
Yeah, I
But when it's
agree.
used constructively, it's very very helpful.
I think Twitter right now is my favorite tool. Instagram, I'm kind of just like, you can see some photos of people are posting, but you're not learning anything. And I love to
Yeah,
learn and be educated. And yeah, that's why Twitter right now is the go-to.
Instagram I feel is very hard to I don't want to say very hard, but it's harder to brand on Instagram.
And build a community, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I feel
hard
like
to have that group.
yeah, I Twitter I feel like is where you build your community and build your brand, and Instagram's kind of where you showcase it.
Yeah, it's your highlight reel.
Yeah. So, which makes sense. Instagram's just a bunch of photos. But that's what I was saying. Like, some accounts they miss the mark. I'll
They're
use
not using Instagram and Twitter at the same time.
yeah, I'll use one company just because they're a big company, so they can't come after little old me. And they didn't give me a job a couple years ago, so it's okay.
Okay, drag them.
But like I was in particular Z100. A lot of their tweets, like they don't really have a voice for themselves. Like it feels like very sporadic, and they're just trying to kind of adopt what other people are saying
Hmm.
and twist it to what they're saying. But it always falls off the mark for me.
Okay.
But I feel like that's just such a niche complaint.
I do think I know what you're talking about with Z100 is they'll just like post their generic tweets, their articles, and then it's like, oh shit, the Jonas Brothers are in studio, and then they pretend that they're this fangirl behind the, behind Twitter, and it's like, well, where has that been for the
Yeah.
past 3 years. It's only right
It's very
now.
weird. It comes off very as inauthentic.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I
it's like
think
keep that energy up the whole entire time. Always, always make it like there's someone behind the screen
yeah.
and not just when something exciting is happening.
I saw that with one of I think the Capital account, that
Mhm.
British Europe station.
I think, yeah, but also I was gonna say, what's the one that BC, the one they do all the great acoustic video.
BBC.
BBC, they do a great job on their Twitter.
They're very good. They're very good.
Yeah,
Like some social media accounts, like they very like hit the mark. Even like the ones you wouldn't think of, like the Dairy Queen account. It's so funny on Twitter.
Velveeta cheese, top notch.
But then you'll see Z100, and it's like, oh sis, we're slayed with this snatch look, and it's like
you're trying too hard.
it comes off very weird. And also, I remember a couple months ago, I saw a lot of One Direction fans getting mad at like one of the Capital.
I saw that too,
account.
dragging them to the
and
depths.
They kept doing it. So I was like, I didn't really understand what they were trying to get. Like all your mentions were people mad, and you kept going. Because I forgot what they were mad about. I think it was something they were like hyping up a One Direction reunion, even though no one knew what was happening. And a lot of the fans were really upset.
And they're not going to be the ones to release it. There's a One Direction reunion, so they like knew it was fake, and they were just using it for clickbait.
Yeah, and I feel a lot of the fans were getting really mad at it, and it was like over a week thing. So it's like you need to read your audience. Like if they don't like that, you should probably scale back.
That's so true, and especially with One Direction fans, you got to watch your back.
You do. Like One Direction fans, like that band is not together, but they're still out there.
Well, because now they're all in their now they all have just their individual. So it's One Direction and Niall stands, then Harry stands. It's just I respect it though.
I mean, I feel like Jonas Brothers fans aren't like that anymore. We're all old.
They're still like that.
I mean, listen,
we're old, but they're still like that.
Like we are old, but I don't really see
Oh, Jazz, be quiet. I go on Twitter and there's drama on the timeline that you're involved in.
I'm not involved in anything ever.
Heather, Andrew are always tweeting or indirecting, and you're always doing it at the same time, so I know it's about the same person. No,
it is Heather.
I will at all three of you right now. Yes, you do.
You can at all you want to. Listen, I have rebranded into a peacekeeper. So all I do is mind my business. Okay. And I see people yell about miscellaneous things. Which like some of their complaints, I can see it. I can see what they're complaining about. But we're not like that big of a, I say we, I'm not even really, I'm still in it, but like not as in it.
You'll tweet and then delete it. Stop lying. I'm reading right through you.
You're not reading through anything. I don't do anything anymore.
All right.
When I was a kid, I would stir lots of things up, but
okay, we're gonna agree to disagree.
I'm a semi-employed working lady.
We're all semi-employed.
We say employed like we weren't running around the country last year.
Don't at me. I wasn't running around the country. I stayed in New England.
That's so lucky for you.
But speaking of concerts and running around, is there a concert last year that you like wish you went to, and now you're kicking yourself in the butt that you didn't go to because you're like, oh, I'll just see them the next time they're in town?
There weren't really a lot of shows
planned. Yeah, no one really goes to Albany. But if you had to go to New York City, which was there a show?
I mean, I was really like everyone. I was more than likely probably going to go to Harry Ween.
Yeah.
I was going to try to do the Loverfest because
in Boston, in Gillette.
I would have loved to.
Wow, we would have.
The Halsey concert, I was very excited for it. Like a little bit because of Halsey, mostly because I love Forest Hill Stadium.
Okay.
And every day I tell everyone that I work with that we need to utilize Forest Hills a lot more than what it's used for. So I was really excited for Halsey. I think she's super dope. I worked with her in 2018, actually.
I've worked with Halsey a bunch of times. Always one incident, she came late a few hours. Other than that, she's been great.
No, she's so great. But
so now these are the shows like you're looking forward to because you didn't get to go to them?
Yeah. I mean, Shows that I missed last year. I was planning on going to Europe to see the Jonas Brothers back in February.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up not going because work stuff and then money stuff and big
Just didn't
mess.
work out.
Yeah. But I would have liked to just, jump the gun at that moment if I would have known.
That this was going to happen. You would have done
Yeah.
it.
Like if Trump would like gave me like a warning, like, hey Jazz, we're going big pandemic's happening, I would definitely would have went. But he didn't do that. So
No, he didn't do that for anybody. He didn't even tell him.
rude. It's very rude, unfortunately.
And then the last thing that we disagree on, and this has nothing to do with music, the Salvatore brothers. The first time I watched it, because the first time I ever watched it was this time in the pandemic, and I watched it 3 times since. So judge me. But the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, Damon, yeah. And then I watched it again, and I was like, no, I love Stefan. And then I'm watching it again, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just Catherine Pierce, and I love them both, and it's okay to love them both. But I just can't favor Damon. And I know you would die for Damon.
I love the whole like anti-hero trope. I'm such a sucker for it.
Okay.
Anyone that is initially the bad boy and then, has little moments of goodness or does bad things for the good of it, that's my favorite type of trope. So Damon.
But you could even say that about Stefan.
Yeah, but like Stefan, like he's just so, he gets better like toward like as the series go on. I do like him like when he's in his like little bad boy moods.
With Klaus.
Yeah. Listen, I'm a toxic person. And I've accepted it.
Yeah, I just had to bring it up
that's honestly, like, I don't have a good reason, honestly.
I don't really either. I just love them. And my friend Christina is obsessed. And she's always like, if I could be anything, I would want to be a vampire.
Honestly, I've gotten so obsessed with like vampires. I bought a book off Amazon about a vampire couple, and it was great.
Was it like a fan fiction or a book?
It was a book. I'll send you the link. It was so great. Like the guy was like a vampire, but like the girlfriend was like
human.
No, she was like this supernatural like demon slayer. It was great.
I don't get into that stuff. I don't know demons, nothing like that. Give me the vampires and the werewolves.
This is how I've gotten through 2020.
I think we've all had to find our little weirdness that we enjoy that kept us entertained.
Yeah, mine was vampires and coffee.
Yeah, you've made that whipped TikTok coffee quite a bit, right?
I love the TikTok coffee. I haven't had it in a while since I got my espresso machine, and it was like $160. So
you got to use that as much as you can.
Use that every day. But before I had it, all I would do was wake up. I would have Andrew Cuomo with his like death ray in the background.
Yeah.
It became white noise at some point. Make my TikTok coffee and then watch Vampire Diaries for the 18th time.
Yeah, pretty much. If you walked into like my living room past 3 months, I'm on the couch watching the Vampire Diaries. But it's also like background noise. Like I'll be working and I'm just like, it's just comfort. And then I'm like,
you should watch the original.
I did watch the originals.
You did?
Yeah. I didn't like it as much.
Really?
I'm not a Klaus girl.
I wasn't an original.
I'm an Elijah girl, but
yes, I remember now. You did tell me that.
Mm-hmm, but I'd rather look at Stefan and Damon than Klaus and Elijah.
That's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. I know. See, we don't agree with a lot.
I don't.
But we agree that fangirls run the world, though. So that's one good thing.
Fangirls do run the world.
And that one day when life is normal, you'll get to come to the knitting factory and dance the Jonas Brothers.
The fact that I was supposed to come and then I had to go to the hospital instead.
Yeah. Sounds fake.
It really does sound
I'll
fake.
give you that excuse.
No, my entire life is a bunch of fake scenarios that are actually real. That's just how my life.
I'm just gonna pretend that you just didn't want to come, and I'm gonna hold it over your head.
No, I would spend like so much money to sit in the knitting factory right now with a bunch of people jumping up around me.
To the Jonas Brothers. Well, it's gonna happen when it's safe to do so. We're booked and we're ready to go.
We're gonna have a comeback summer. I'm not gonna say spring, but summer.
Yeah, summer, fall,
I have faith.
winter.
October 20th,
Yeah.
maybe. I have faith. I really do. No one else does, but I have faith.
One day in the future.
Yeah,
I'm not putting a month a date on it because who knows.
I think the biggest thing I've learned this pandemic is you can't stress about things you can't control.
So true, but I still will stress about it and keep myself up all night.
No, that was me like the first month, but then I realized I like to be in control of things. But you have to let it go now.
Let it go.
Thank you for that.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on and getting the time to talk to you because I feel like we talk just in intervals via text every few months.
That's the best kind of friendship.
Yeah. I just text you random things, you'll answer, and we'll move on with our time. But I appreciate you coming on, and I hope to see you very soon.
Very soon. I love how this is going for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, you're very supportive. You're very supportive, and you always retweet. You always comment, and I really appreciate it.
Listen, I want all my friends to succeed, especially you, because you have so many good ideas. This is a great idea to do, and I am wishing nothing but the best for you.
That is so sweet. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Don't get used to it.
I'm gonna remember. I'm gonna save this, and replay it when I need it for some confidence boost.
You're gonna have to.
But thank you everyone for listening to another episode of the Fangirl Fantasy Podcast. Please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all next week. Thank you.